Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm your host, Renata Marino, and this is True North, a video and audio podcast on overcoming adversity and pursuing your purpose. Welcome. In today's episode, we are going to talk about must-haves versus nice-to-have versus non-negotiables. In this episode, we're going to be talking about those three things in both our professional and personal life. What are they? How do we communicate them? And how do we hold our ground? Many of us, myself included, when we're interviewing for a job, we're getting information. It's not only about, are they interviewing us? We're also interviewing them. When you start a new job, whether if it's a startup, whether it's corporate, whatever it is, it's important to understand what is being offered to you, but also to communicate your must-haves, your non-negotiables, and your nice-to-haves. Now, we all know that typically, when you get a job offer, when you're in a company, you can't really read everything that's going on in the company. For example, we know basic things like your salary, certain requirements, and there's certain must-haves that you're going to have. One of the things that's really hard to read is the culture, how you're going to be treated, some of the soft, I call them like soft skills, soft intangibles. Now, there's definitely different ways to actually get that type of information. And I've done several workshops on career development and interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. I know for women especially, there's certain things that you can't really, it's not appropriate to ask in an interview. I mean, how do they treat women? Is there flexibility? What about maternity leave? Typically, those are not asked in an interview. Sometimes they are, depending on what kind of culture you're in. But in traditional corporate, that's pretty much never asked. You could talk to HR about it, but it's really never asked in an interview. And quite honestly, and this is just based on experience in corporate, they may tell you one thing, but something else will happen. And that's what is hard, especially for women and men, but women. So there's a lot of resources that I use, and I usually tell my people I've helped, clients in the past. Fairy God Boss is a really, really good company. It was a startup. I don't know how long it's been, about 10 years. I think they've been around, where it's tech. It's a database of anonymous women who've worked at certain companies. The companies are named, but the women aren't named, and they provide feedback on certain things that you can't really ask in an interview. For example, maternity leave, flexibility, equal pay, treatment of women, diversity, all these things that typically you can get in trouble for, which is kind of ridiculous. But the other thing is you can ask, and then they tell you one thing, but again, it could be something completely different. So fairy God Boss are people who've actually worked in the company or left the company, and they give their anonymous feedback. The thing that's the beauty about Fairy Godboss, because it's accrued over time, all this data and opinions have been accrued, and opinions, facts, is when the same thing is said more than once, hundreds and thousands of times, it's valid, it's true. So it's a really good data point for people who are trying to figure out if a particular company or a role falls in their buckets of must-haves, non-negotiables, and nice-to-haves, especially when it comes to a job. The other thing that I always suggest people because I'm big on, I do a lot of on-the-side advisory for people in their career. We've done a lot of Blazing Babes workshops on women in career transition. A lot of the women that we work with at Blazing Babes, which is a community of female founders and startups, a lot of our women have left corporate to move into startups. So we do a lot of placement and referrals and connecting women who are leaving corporate and making that transition. And half the time, they're looking for more flexibility. They're looking for more, they're very seasoned, 30 years of experience, and they can hit the ground running in a startup. So we do a lot of moving them over to that side of the fence. And sometimes it's really hard in a startup because you don't know the culture, but it tends to be a little bit more flexible. And, you kind of have to be it's not as stringent as in corporate. But one of the things I usually tell some of the women in transition is in addition to just interviewing with HR, interviewing for the position, talk to people who've actually are in the job or left the job. I like to say both. People who are currently working there, how long they've been there, what their role is, and people who left. I think it's really important. Why did they leave? What was their experience? In an early stage startup, you can't, but in corporate, you definitely can. I think it's really important. I also think when you're interviewing, the other thing I highly advise people, and you're in a specific department, ask to meet other people in different departments that you potentially would work with, or maybe that you don't work with. It's really, really important because you want to understand and get a pulse on the culture of the company. And you can't really do that if you're only in one silo and you're only working and talking to your boss. You interview forward and back, and you interview sideward, and you actually interview with people below your level. I also above and below and lateral, because you can get a lot of inferences on. I call it like a 360 interview, and there's nothing wrong with asking. I think a lot of people just tend not to ask. I think it's really, really important to ask. But I think when you get all those data points when you're interviewing, this is in the professional front, you're really able to see, does this job, does this role, does this culture, does what the company has to offer me fit into my must-haves, my nice-to-haves, and my non-negotiables? I think it's really, really important. And quite honestly, you're signing up for this job. And I actually posted this on Twitter. When you sign up, it's on your resume. I mean, then if you're there for more than 6 months, I honestly, so you have to really make a good decision. Jumping around jobs is fine, but you really need to make the right decision, because your happiness and your success is going to be based off of your must-haves, your non-negotiables, and your nice-to-haves. And then on the personal front, and I'll get into this. I do have a slide because I dream in PowerPoint. Same thing on the personal front. I think what's really important is to articulate up front in a relationship, whether it's with your friends or in a romantic partnership with someone. What are your must-haves? What are your nice-to-haves? What are your non-negotiables? I think a lot of us, myself included, have entered in relationships where that was really not clear on both sides. It was more, they can't read your mind. I think that's the other thing, is not just personal, but also professional. You need to clearly articulate what are your must-haves, what are your nice-to-haves, and what are your non-negotiables up front. Because what if you want to see if they're aligned. What are their must-haves? And the other thing is, you want to know what their must-haves are, because out of respect for them, you want to make them happy. You want them to be happy. And if you don't know what their must-haves are, how are you going to know? And then what are their nice-to-have? Like, what if they're willing to just, it's not a big deal for them. And then what are their non-negotiables? What if your non-negotiables and their non-negotiables don't line up? In a personal or professional relationship, it is critical to make sure that you clearly articulate upfront your must-haves, your nice-to-haves, and your non-negotiables. I'm going to dive right into a slide. So the way the structure of this works is typically we have a theme of a day. I'm Monday through Friday. It's a lot. So somebody said to me yesterday, "You're going to do this every day at 9." I hope to. I have a lot on my plate, but this is part of my joy. And I do believe I would like to have some female founders on here. I would like to have some executives on here. I think it's really part of getting to know founders, getting to know executives, getting to know people because I do believe life gets in the way of your career. And I think that personal and professional is a merge. And I like to see everyone pursuing their purpose. And I think all of us need guidance. And if I can impart words of wisdom to people out there on how to overcome adversity in troubling times in our life, and how do we pursue our purpose, and how does overcoming adversity relate to our purpose? I think that's why I'm doing this. This is a lot to do with me personally and what I've overcome. And if I can share strategies and tactics to help others overcome challenges in their life, and then they can be happy. And that's kind of part of who I am. And I believe I take this strategy into my professional life as well when I'm investing and working with female founders, because I'm a former female founder, and I've struggled with my relationship with my kids, being a mother, a single, full-time mom, no help, and trying to actually scale a startup. So this platform relates significantly to what I do outside of this room. And I just, after everything I've been through, I want to be able to share strategies and help people be happy with their life. Anyway, let me throw up a slide. Again, I dream in PowerPoint because that's how I roll. And this is going to really clearly, and again, I did this in 5 minutes, so no judging. Oh gosh, it's like I need a microscope because this woman cannot see. I'm going to put my glasses on. All right. So here's a nice clean slide. I'm all about keep it simple and stupid. It's called KISS. I tell all my startups, all the founders, the female founders, this slide's too busy. Nobody's going to pay attention. You need to cut all the words down. And people like pictures. Okay. So here it is. So again, these are examples and I can barely read them because I'm far away, but must-haves versus nice-to-haves versus non-negotiables. So I split it into 3 categories, and then within each category, personal and professional, as examples. And now I'm going to lean forward and see if I can read. Okay. So let's first talk about must-haves. So as you can see here, this is for me, on personal. So time, meaning, so when you think about must-haves in a relationship, what's important to you? For me, I want time with the person. I need time, spending time, quality time, and not on your phone. And, they're actually engaged with you and talking to you and spending time with you and traveling and just enjoying each other's company. That's really important to me. It's not just a, what's the word? Convenience, a roommate. I can't even remember what does it say? It says trust. You have to trust your partner. That's something that's important for me. And they have to make sure that they somehow prove to you that you can trust them and you can do the same for them, that they trust you. You have to show through action, and that takes time. And my sister does this. I think it's great. My middle sister. Weekly date nights. So I'm going to use her because she's a really good example. My sister is amazing. I mean, she's awesome. She has 4 kids under the age of, I think, 12 or 11. It's crazy. And she works for a startup, and she does triathlons. She's Wonder Woman. 3 Merino girls were all Wonder Woman. But her husband is an ER doctor, and he sleeps during the day and works at night. It's crazy. But they're a great team. And one of the things, because they're ship sailing in the night many of the times, and thankfully they do have full-time help, they create in their schedules, in their calendars, weekly date nights where they go out to dinner, they go to the movies, it's not with friends, it's one-on-one. And I really, really think that that's critical to having a relationship that's long-term and that you're engaged with each other and you share each other's, you spend time with each other again, but it's in the calendar. We're all overworked, most of us, and we've got a lot going on. And if you don't put it in the calendar, it's just not going to happen. But I really like her, that she does that. She and her husband, and they're a team. The next one is I'm sorry, I'm like squinting. Show through action. So I like words. I like when people say nice things to me, especially my partner, but I do like action. I need someone to show me that they care through action. And if you can't follow through action, it's just a bunch of words and blah, blah, blah. The next one I have is love and respect. And that's shown through action. We have, as when you have a teammate, you really need to show that you care about them, what they're doing, what they're involved in, respecting them. And that's shown through action. And then loving them, obviously, is shown in many different ways, but critical. Those are must-haves. That maybe even be a non-negotiable. And then family's big for me. So, spending time with our kids, each of the kids, and all together separately, and just respecting, it's part of respect. But really, and family time is like your own family and extended family. And again, you negotiate that, how much time, what's too much, what's too little. But family is important to me because they're my rock, and they're part of my life, and they're important in my life. So then the professional front, let's move over there under the must-haves. We'll go through this quickly. I have decision making. So, for example, and in my case, when you're signing up to be a general partner in a fund, decision making in terms of, and I spoke about this morning on one of my Instagram posts, is, are you part of the decision making? Who's making the decisions? And this is a venture capital. This could be in corporate, especially if you're in a senior role or a decision making role, and you're on a team of decision makers. You want to make sure that you're part of the decision. That has to be in your contract. I'd get it in writing. Don't take anyone's word for it. It needs to be in writing. So that's a must-have in my world. Flexibility is a must-have for me. I was in corporate back in the early 2000s, and I became a new mom, and I had fertility issues. I had trouble breastfeeding. I couldn't find a nanny. I was feeling really guilty about leaving my baby. I was interviewing, and I just didn't feel good about it. I had a lot of stress about, my mom raised us. What am I going to do? Have a nanny raise my kid? I was really having a lot of struggle, and I had pitched to my all male executive team except HR at the time if I could have flexibility. And I literally had a PowerPoint presentation, and I kind of showed how, if I could have flexibility for at least a year from first-time mother, and they said no. So for me, and that's when I left. I said, forget about it. I need flexibility. Corporate's not for me. They're not giving me my flexibility. I mean, I wasn't asking for much. I was asking for time to figure out what I'm going to do. And at that time, my role was very important. I was a product manager, but I had significant, I think at age, how old was I? 20? No, 30. I had P&L, millions of dollars of responsibility, global new product development, making products, traveling to Hungary and China and all over the place to do market research and to develop fitness products for all the markets across the world. So I was asking if my associate could go in instead for at least the first 6 months, while I was breastfeeding, while I was figuring out the nanny situation, and they said no. So I left, and I went and I started working in entrepreneurship for a serial entrepreneur, which offers so much more flexibility. And quite honestly, most of our Blaze and Babe members are leaving corporate and they're so seasoned and so experienced and have such breadth of experience that it's highly valuable to the startup scene. So unfortunately, corporate is, if they don't change their game, they're going to miss some incredible talent that's going to leave. All right, that's my side note. Let's go to the next one. I said no calls after 5. I personally, I say this. This is how I operate. This is for me. These are my must-haves. I'm an early bird. I like to literally get my workouts in, take my kids to school if I have to do that, and literally start my day and work really hard until 3:00, and then I really get my kids or whatever, and then I burn out. I'm not good after 3. If I tend to not want to have calls. I will look at emails until 5 or work on a presentation, but talking to someone, all my energy is just right now. You guys are getting me full force, and I'm really that's just my body. It's how I operate. And I've gotten to know, I'm very self-aware, and I want to give everyone my best. So I'm not my best after 3. If it were up to me, I'd be in a bikini doing my calls and then shut down at 3 and just relax for the rest of the afternoon and take no calls. And then I think I said family friendly. I do like working for companies that care about more than just you and your brain and your network. They actually care about your personal side, and they make an effort to incorporate that. The company that I'm creating is going to include that. It's really important to me. You bring your whole selves to the table. You don't just bring half. Money and benefits, everything is really important to me. I want to get paid my worth. It's been way too long that I have not got paid my worth, and it's time to change that. So that's a huge critical piece for me, based on all the time I put in, the 25 years, 30 years of experience. You should pay for experience. It's not just your hours sitting in a chair. It's how much experience. I can do the job of a 25-year-old probably in 1/16 of the time, and you need to pay me for that because time is money. And then I have diverse, and I'm not just talking about ethnicity. I'm talking about skill sets. I like to be part of a team, a company, or create my own company that's not just diverse in terms of like what color is your skin and your economic background, but what are the skills that you bring to the table? If you're a really good leader, you hire your weakness. So I want to know that I'm coming to this company or this venture capital firm, or I'm creating a firm, that I'm not just hiring people that are exactly like me. And I'm not talking about what they look like, and I'm talking about skill sets. What skill sets do I not have that if I bring someone else on, they're going to make my team and my company rock star team? Okay, let's shift over to the nice to have. So this is me, okay? Everybody has their own preferences, but I do believe this exercise is highly valuable for you to map out what are your must-haves, what are your nice to haves, and what are your non-negotiables, both on the personal front as well as the professional front. So let's switch over to nice to have. So let's just go through my nice to haves on the personal. I can't even see it. Let me lean in. Wait. I mean, I want to go on vacation every month. I want to be in Nantucket every month. I want to be in a tropical place every month. Somebody who's coming from Chicago, who literally, this is the worst time of the year, I need to leave. I cannot be here because what is it? Seasonal disorder? What is it? Depression, seasonal disorder. It's a real thing. Some people buy these sun lamps in Chicago and literally sit there and, because people can get depressed. When the sun doesn't shine, you can get really depressed. And forget about the weather. It's not even that. I can't stay in one place for too long. I get very antsy and very stagnant. I need to move. That's why this video and audio podcast is a traveling circus, because I'm taking this to the street. Wherever I go, this I take everything with me. So that's just me. I need to move. The next one is I personally like, my parents work together and live together, which is insane. I know there's like a lot of couples that don't do that. They keep it separate. I'm going to tell you, with my marriage, my 15-year marriage, I'm going to tell you, and we were both MBAs from Booth. I'm telling you right now, it really was a demise to our marriage that nothing was communicated about our businesses. No one took interest. I kept asking about his business. He owns his own private equity company, and he was building it, and I was his rah-rah cheerleader. And initially, he needed my cheerleading energy to get himself, because he was going to throw in the towel. But I was his cheerleader, of course, because I am. That's who I am. And that's what we do when we're teammates, right? We cheer each other on. But once the deals started coming, and once I was really interested, and if you're both MBAs, you're both really smart, you both were investment banking, I mean, you're pretty much equals, and you ask, that person doesn't want to tell you. They're not interested. You'll never understand. I'm not going to talk about it. I don't want to talk about work. So I think for me, I don't like that. Some people like that. For me, I want to be involved. I want to learn. I'm a lifelong learner. And quite honestly, when you know what the other person's working on, you can have empathy, you can have understanding, and you don't have to create suggestions. I mean, if they want suggestions, that's one thing. But I think it keeps the relationship more integrated. And yeah, they can have their own thing. But I think, again, this is me. That's not everyone. Some people like to keep it separate. But you should kind of know what they're struggling with. And if they have a bad day, don't you think you should kind of know why? And if you already are kind of have some level of information of what they're doing and what they're working on, you can have more empathy and you can have more support. I personally think that for me and what I want, it's a nice to have. It really is. What's the next one? Oh yeah, I need daily engagement. Whether I text, this is my thing about texting, guys, when it comes to personal. I'm not a texter. I mean, I think texting should, in my opinion, I think when it comes to intimate romantic relationships, I think texting is good for like, hey, meet me at the store at 4:00. Like, I don't want to text and be like having a major conversation. I personally think it's for logistic purposes only. That's what I think. I don't want to have I don't want to have a texting intimate relationship at all. I really don't. I honestly, texting is just for logistics. That's in my world. But every day you should have a conversation, FaceTime, whatever. I think every day I like to have face-to-face, physical, every day. Okay, and the last one under personal is do nice things. I personally think doing nice things, little things, is critical every day. Little nice things really shows that you care. It doesn't have to be big things. I mean, big things are great, but nice things like, oh, I got your favorite coffee. Here's your coffee. Or you want me to make breakfast, or hey, let's do this, or I've got this covered, or whatever. I think it just shows kindness and effort. I really think I think it's amazing. Okay, let's move to the professional front. I have to read it. Corporate perks are nice to have on the professional. And when I say corporate perks, like, wellness programs, free bagels in the morning with coffee. It just makes your life so much better when you go to work. It's a nice to have. It's perks. It's, like discounted tickets to Wrigley. I mean, that's what I would love. Like, I want to be able to do that. Outings. I think monthly outings with your team building outings, I think is huge. I think we need to get on that kind of cadence for all our companies that we're building or that we're working for. I just think you get to know people more. I think there's more team camaraderie. Again, I'm a big believer in personal merging with the professional. I mean, you don't have to reveal everything, but just getting to know people outside of the office really creates team camaraderie. I'm just a big believer in that. Okay, let's switch over to the non-negotiables. I have, again, these three things, must-haves, nice-to-haves, and non-negotiables, is critical for you to map out. I'd say write them down, whether you're going into a job, hiring for a job, And then you know what? If you are creating a company, this is a big HR thing. Even if a startup, I actually talked to a lot of startups about this. When and the reason why I have two HR people, I wouldn't call them HR. I hate that word. They're leadership development, head of people. Actually, I think it's such a bullshit word, but whatever. Leadership development. I have two people on my industry advisory board that are experts at 25 years. Very, very talented in big corporate and now in startups. And one of them has their own startup, and one of them works for a startup in HR, in leadership development. But is creating a playbook, let's call it an HR leadership development playbook, early in your development. I would say probably at the seed stage when you've made some money, you've had some capital, you're starting to hire. When you're starting to hire, you really should create a playbook of culture, processes, leadership development, career track record for onboarding employees. If you don't do that, even if it's just a skeletal, it's just, you need at least the bare bones so you actually show who you're hiring and you have some level of consistency. Because I'm telling you right now, some of these big startups that get to a point where they're like IPO and the same CEO is running it, he or she, typically it's he, is not doing a good job because they've never been in corporate. They don't know that big size. The board is the original board. They're not getting rid of the person. And it just really puts a big, big, big damper on the culture of the company. All right, I'm on my soapbox. Let's go through the non-negotiables on the personal front. Again, this is from my perspective. I love this list. Cheating. Cheating is a non-negotiable. You don't cheat. What I write down? Ghosting, gaslighting, non-negotiable. If you're not happy about something, you have to say it. You don't just disappear. And gaslighting. I remember I was talking to, some guy. He didn't even know what the word I'm like, you want to know what gaslighting? Gaslighting is like, you want to make the person upset. So you actually specifically do something with action or a word because you know it's a trigger for them and you know it's going to upset them. And you want, for some reason, because you're angry about something, or maybe you're not angry. You just like to see them upset because you want to know that they care. So let me do something that hurts the person to make them upset, or let me say something to them so I can actually see them get upset. I don't understand why someone would do that. And one of my favorites, abuse and control. We don't abuse people. Verbal, financial, psychological, emotional. We don't talk to someone disrespectfully. We don't manipulate them and try to, we don't abuse someone. We don't cut off credit cards. We don't do that. That's a non-negotiable. Control. When you are in a position of power, whether you're the breadwinner and the other person's not making the money because they're staying at home and you cut off credit cards or you take away certain things for them because you want to feel in control and in power, that is a non-negotiable in my book. That is a non-negotiable. When someone doesn't give me their time, that's not a relationship. I need time with the person. Quality time. Not like, oh, you're on your phone and we're just hanging out and you're not talking to me. No. Quality time. And it's not just working together and we're not talking and we're just facing each other and on our computers. And that's not quality time. Quality time. Put the devices away. When the relationship is one-sided, when someone's giving, and the other one's taking, that's a non-negotiable for me. It has to be equal give and take. Okay, let's go to the professional front on the non-negotiables. This is another good list. It's the same from the personal, but cheating and lying. We don't want to work for anyone that cheats and lies. And one of my favorites that's happened to me and a lot of women for year after year after year is discrimination. Unequal pay, sexual discrimination, any alienation, anything where you're discriminated, not giving the promotion because of this, because you got pregnant, whatever it is. Discrimination happened to me. Finding out I was getting paid 30 grand less than the other male analysts early in my 20s. I'm telling you right now, it's a non-negotiable. And actually, this is a really good question. And we may do a Blazing Babes event on this and maybe get an HR expert. What do you do when something like this happens in the workplace? When discrimination happens, when you find out, who do you go to? Is HR on your side, or are they on their best interests, the company? That's actually a really good question. I honestly feel like HR needs to be a separate entity outside the company. I don't know. Maybe there should be a group where, because a lot of women, a lot of men, employees don't feel comfortable. For example, I had mentioned this on another podcast, and a friend of mine, I'm not going to name her name, but when you HR sometimes when you're an executive and you move up the corporate, all the people I know from Booth, from my undergrad, from Bowdoin, they're all executives now. They're all my age, high up there, CEO, CFO, all of them. Okay, VP, CEO, CFO. So 20, 30 years of experience. A lot of these executives, HR assigns a executive coach because they want to prep you for the CEO role. And I do highly agree that companies should have an executive coach to help with career development. However, a lot of my friends who are smart, they hire an outside neutral party executive coach, because what happens is a lot of the executive coaches within HR have a bias. They care about especially if it's a public company and it's shareholder value, they're not really out for your best interests. They're out for the company's interests. They may claim that they are, and they may very well be, but they're not going to be fully disclosed. God forbid, you have a sexual discrimination case that you're, in your company or one of your managers or whatever. How do you handle that? HR is going to be like, well, we can't really blow this up because we don't want it to get in the press. So when you're, so how do you, to have an outside executive coach that doesn't have any bias is really, really important, especially for women in executive positions, because we have to handle a lot of discrimination. So that's a really important thing. So if anyone's listening to this who is a female in a middle management or above position in corporate, and actually at startups, I honest to God, I do think having an outside person to help you strategize about your career trajectory, especially if you're at a startup, like how many years are you going to be here? What's your end goal? What's your mission? What's your purpose? What's your mission and vision for where you want to see your life go? And having that outside person is really important. I'm going to make a suggestion. I'm going to pitch pitch and promote on this video podcast today. And I actually probably have her speak. There's a startup called Tenshey. It's TENSHEY. I highly suggest you look at it. Maggie Chan Jones, she's a big executive in New York. She was, CMO, and she launched an executive career coaching company called Tenshey. I actually she's a friend of mine. She's a friend of one of my Booth classmates. I think she's an investor too in several startups I know about. But she launched this because she wanted more women, and I think it's specifically for women. I'm not quite sure, but you may need to check. I don't know if she pivoted, but she wanted more. She said if she would have not gotten to the executive positions that she was at, I think it's Sapient, one of them, I can't remember, but big time Fortune 500 companies, she would not have gotten that unless she didn't have an executive coach, so an outside neutral party. So I highly suggest, if you're listening to this, to look at Tenshey, to look at other executive coaching programs or companies that can give you that strategy of, okay, you're at this startup, so where's your vision? So maybe you stay here for X amount of years, you do this, and this, and then what's your next move? I think it's really, really important. Hold on, let me read the rest. If you're sidelined, if you're not invited to the golf outing, if you are not invited to the meeting, you're purposely left out, that's a non-negotiable in my disrespect. Side comments, sometimes you men, typical men or women, can say things that can make you feel uncomfortable. And you actually would like to do a workshop. How do you handle that appropriately, professionally? legally. I think it's really, really important. Not a lot of people talk about it, and there's just not. And actually, this is a really good example. I was interviewing back in 2017 or 18 when I wasn't moving into venture capital. I was considering this corporate route, and I was interviewing for a CMO role. And it wasn't a Fortune 500 company. It was a private company, family owned, and it was the third or fourth round interview, I can't remember, with the CEO, and he was asking me very inappropriate questions about my personal life right off the bat. And I didn't know legally. See, this is what someone like me who's have 20, 30 years of experience doesn't even know this. I guess even if you're interviewing, you can actually talk to HR and say this was inappropriate. I didn't know. I was an employee. So these things, we don't know these rules. Like, what can you do? What kind of support can you go to? I think it's really, really important. But anyway, this is a really good slide. If you guys feel free to copy it, but I think everybody needs to take something like this, whether you're entering a personal or professional relationship, both parties should do it. But I think it's really, really critical to know for yourself, because maybe some of us don't even know. I mean, I think I said this on another post, which is hilarious. I created a pie chart after I got divorced on what are the must-haves I want in a relationship. I think I literally ran out to Walgreens and got a poster board and ran home. I'm sitting on my floor, because I was determined. I'm like, what are they? Because I haven't really thought about this for, 17 years. So if I had to start from scratch, what would they be? And I think initially I had seven must-haves, like a pie chart with 7 pieces of the pie. And then I had a version 2.0, like maybe after I started going on some dates, and then I had 17. First I started with 7, and then it turned into 17. It's hilarious. But I think it's self-awareness. It's really writing them down. I think we all should write this down because, we may generally know, but hey, when you write it down, it actually becomes a reality. All right, I'm going to bring it back to me. I hope that was helpful. I really do. I really believe that all of us, take my glasses off. I can see better. It's really, really important. It's really, really important. It's really, really important in both our personal and professional lives to really understand our must-haves, our nice-to-haves, and our non-negotiables. Clearly articulate it up front. I hope that was helpful. I wanted to do cards, but before I do that, tomorrow I think I'm going to do this tomorrow. I'm in the middle of reading this book. Have you guys ever read this book? It's The 48 Laws of Power. Robert Greene. It's a very hard book to read, but it's really, really important. Hold on, let me see. The best-selling book for those who want power, watch power, or want to arm themselves against power. Listen, guys, someone like me who's was very naive, it says here, do not commit to anyone. I literally, Law 20. I'm going to read it. It says, Law 20. I just turned it to this page, random. It says, Law 20. Do not commit to anyone. It says, judgment. It is the fool who always rushes to take sides. Do not commit to any side or cause but yourself. By maintaining your independence, you become the master of others, playing people against one another, making them pursue you. This is a harsh book. But here, this is the thing. I do agree that you come first. It's not a game. Life is not a game, but you have to be careful. I don't like playing people against one another. I don't do that. I don't manipulate. But you need to invest in yourself. You come first. It's your life. If people want to be with you, they're going to have to, conform. It's understanding your must-haves, your nice-to-haves, and your non-negotiables. God willing, you can negotiate with the other people in your life to make sure that it lines up. I'm going to do one more. I love this book. Okay, you ready? This is Law 34. So we're going to do a session tomorrow. I'm going to do, I think, the title's called Jealous Women, Why Women Are Jealous of Other Women. That's going to be tomorrow's session. But next week, I think I'm going to bring this book. This is going to be some bedtime reading. I'm going to be like, what's the next one? These words are really small, and I may need to up the ante on my glasses because I cannot see even with these glasses, these powerful glasses. I think that's a sign. I think it's time to go to the eye doctor. Don't you? Okay, let me read Law 34 and let's do cards. Oh my God, I love this. This is like harsh. I'm all about the harsh stuff. Okay, ready? Law 34. I randomly open this. It's meant to be. It says, be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one. I mean, yeah. Here, ready? Judgment. Let me read this. The way you carry yourself will often determine how you are treated. I mean, guys, your actions, who you hang out with, the things you do every single day, that's the type of people you're going to attract, and that's how you're going to be treated. If you're hanging out with trash, you're attracting trash. If you're acting trashy, you're attracting trash. What are you doing? What is your behavior? Is it trashy? You're going to attract trash. Take care of yourself. How you dress, your behavior, that's going to attract certain things. What do you want in your life? Do you want to up the ante? You want to level up? Or you want to like stay down with like, with all the crocodiles and the snakes? Sorry, it's true. The way you carry yourself will often determine how you are treated. In the long run, appearing vulgar or common will make people disrespect you. I mean, I like to use four-letter words sometimes. I mean, some people may poo-poo that, but I've been really good. I actually only use them when I have to emphasize certain things. Not on my Instagram posts. There was a lot of swearing for the past 2 years because I was angry and sad. Not anymore. For a king respects himself or herself, queen. For a king or queen respects himself or herself and inspires the same sentiment in others. By acting regally and confident of your powers, you make yourself seem destined to wear a crown. I mean, guys, how you are with yourself, how you treat yourself. Who was it? Jay Shetty. Go look on Jay Shetty. Go on his Instagram and see what his post he just did. How you treat yourself the way you want to be treated first, and then other people will treat you the same. You do not look for someone else to treat you with respect, and you have to do that with yourself first. You have to take care of your body, what you put in your body, how you move your body, who you hang out with, the actions that you take, how you treat other people, how you treat yourself. Are you doing nice things for yourself? I mean, I buy flowers for myself, and I will for the rest of my life. I enjoy buying flowers for myself. I like getting my hair done. I like putting makeup on every day. I like dressing up. I like wearing stilettos every day. And I'm in my house, in my home office. I still dress up. I'm not wearing sweatpants. I'm not wearing my pajamas. I wear perfume every day. I wear jewelry every day. I make healthy meals every day. I meditate every day. I take Epsom salt baths by candlelight every other day. Actually, today I'm going to do an Epsom salt bath in my favorite spa. We're going to do a session on power, and I'm going to read some of these, and we're going to talk through it. Actually, what I'll do is I'll go through this book and select the ones that I think are critical for us. This will be a lot in both our personal and professional lives. There's some obnoxious one here, but I honestly think to be aware of it, you shouldn't play people off each other, but there are a lot of mean people out there, and you need to be aware of it. All right, let's do cards. What time is it? Oh, I'm running out of time. We'll do rapid fire. Is rapid fire. Ready? Okay. What was the happiest day of your life? When I became a mother, I went through fertility. I went through a lot of drugs, and my now ex-husband, then husband, jamming me every day with a needle in my leg or my back, my butt, or somewhere about it. I wasn't looking. I just knew it hurt, and really getting acne and very emotional because of the drugs. I was jacked up. I got fat and I wasn't even pregnant. Think about this. The drugs made me emotionally. I looked like I had leprosy on my skin. on my face. Like I didn't even want to leave. I didn't even want to go to the office. I had to go to the office, guys. I couldn't wear my who starts wearing their pregnancy clothes even before when they're not pregnant? But I went through a lot to get pregnant. Best day of my life when I became a mom. By the way, I'm an overachiever. When I study, I get the A. When I do X, I get Y. When I pursue this, I know I put the time in and I achieve. I exceed. Motherhood, different story. You feed the baby the bottle, you expect them to go to sleep. They don't. They have acid reflux. You don't know what it is. You call the doctor. You're trying to do all these crazy things. You buy all this product. You spend all this money. You try to get the baby. You don't know. You try this formula, that doesn't work. You wasted all that. You try this formula, that doesn't work. You try breastfeeding. You hire a lactation consultant because nothing's coming out of your breasts. And they come over to your house. You spend tons of money. You hire them. They basically like tell you that you have to feed the baby and then put the baby down. And normally when you nap because you're exhausted because you were up all night with the baby, when the baby's sleeping after you've breastfed the baby, you can't take the nap. You actually go to the bathroom and you have to pump. The more you pump, so there's no rest. Anytime the baby's sleeping, that's when you pump. Guys, women go through a lot, but it was worth it. What are your most vivid memories of childhood? Soccer, playing soccer. My dad was my coach. Yeah. Being a soccer player. Being with my sisters in the back of our house in Needham, Mass, where we had this huge woods, nature, going with my sisters in the middle of the wood, playing in the woods, playing outside in the woods. Going with a shovel and our skates in the winter. I can't believe my mother sent us. Oh my God. Now it'd be like, you're not leaving the house. It's scary. I'm like, she sent us in the woods all the way to a pond and we shoveled it and skated. And she's like, anytime you hear the crack, just lay down on the ground and, don't worry, you'll be fine. Spending time in the woods in the summer, creating a fort with my sisters, pretending we were like Tom Sawyer, like on Charles River, like creating a raft and sinking. The Charles River over flooded and they're all like a neighbor's lawn got flooded. There were like fish in her grass. We were trying to capture the fish. We went to Home Depot with my friend's dad. Everything in nature. Playing soccer, playing tennis, hitting the tennis ball, the dirty, muddy, wet tennis ball against my parents' garage and marking it up really hard, like almost breaking it. On a rainy day, I would take the ball. Practicing my soccer goals on our lawn. We had a huge lawn. We had a lot of property. I mean, I'm grateful for my childhood because of the house we grew up in. We had a pool parties. I was a lifeguard for many years in the summer, and it was our house, the Marina house, that had all the pool parties. After work, I worked 3 or 4 12-hour days as a lifeguard, teaching swimming lessons and watching little kids swim. And not at a country club, at like a swim and tennis club. It wasn't foo-foo shishi. Most of you guys probably think that, but it's not true. But really a great family, great, good people, good environment, good kids, nice, amazing staff. I have really good memories of my childhood. I'm really lucky. It has shaped me into who I am today, my childhood. Do you need to be more or less crazy in your life choices? I need to be a little crazier. I mean, within reason. I need to take more chances. I'm a little bit too conservative. I need to be pushed. I want to do more crazy things. I want to be a model. I want to be in fashion. I want to be in a magazine. I want to create a book. I need to be pushed. I need the right people to push me. I actually need that. I need people to push me because I will do it. If you could put a thought into your teacher's head, what would it be? I don't really have a teacher, but if this was for my kids, push your kids. You know what? This is what happened to me in high school. The guidance counselor, the college counselor I said this on another post like 2 years ago. The guidance counselor gave me a list of colleges, when you're applying to colleges. And it was like, when she gave me the list of like, based on my grades and what I've done, I was like, I looked at the list. I'm like, I didn't say this to her, but I said it to myself. I'm like, to myself, not to my parents. My parents didn't say it to me. I said it to myself. That's it. That's not exciting. That's like average. I'm not average. No. So I talked to a couple of my teachers, and my Latin teacher, she went to Bowdoin College in Maine. It's one of the top liberal arts colleges. She's like, you should look at Bowdoin. I'd never heard of it. She's like, I went there. It's awesome. It was like a top 5. It's like top 3 now. And I applied. I got in. All right. Let's do the next one because I'm late. Which is your favorite vice? I mean, is vice a bad thing for you, or is vice a good thing? I like spa. I want to do a spa. I want to be the spa every week. I want to get a massage every week. There's a spa. Yeah. Okay. Because vice, I don't do bad things to my body. I mean, maybe I'll have like ice cream. Last night I had an ice cream skillet. I ate half of it. Alcohol's not my vice. I don't do drugs. I don't do any of that shit. Sorry. I want to go to the spa. I want to get a massage. I want a sport massage, not the nice ones, like the ones that actually hurt. There's a local guy that does he used to work for the White Sox and he used to travel with the soccer team, the minor league in Chicago. I call him Mr. Miyagi. He can fix anything. Doug Collins goes to him. I know everybody. All the athletes go to him. I know them all. I want that every week. I want my sport massage. I want to go and do I used to do that every week. Every other week. Now I want that every week. I want that, and I want to go to the spa. I want to get a facial every week. I want to get my hair done. That's what I want. I have to. I need that in my life. If you could add a new feature to your room, what would it be? This came up before. One of those like my waterfall. I have a waterfall, another waterfall, like on the a little waterfall so you can hear the music, the sound of the water. Okay, this is girl power, and I gotta go. Jean Kilbourne. See. This is why I need to do my girl power coloring book, because I don't know this woman. Nobody knows these women. She's recognized for raising awareness of how images of women are used in ads and the connection between advertising and public health issues, including violence against women, eating disorders, and addiction. The media and what our little girls see has a direct impact on their self-esteem and what is valued. Can I tell you how many women out there, adult women, are throwing their boobs in their butts and their sex on Instagram just for likes, and they're saying vulgar things about their bodies? How is that a role model for little girls? It's trash. It's low-class trash. If you're a leader and you have a lot of followers and you're dressing trashy, saying trashy things, and looking trashy, you're not being a role model for little girls. Would you rather give up social media, TV, movies, or music for a week? Social media. I mean, I don't watch TV. I can't give up music. I'd give up social media so I don't have to see the trash. Anyway, guys, subscribe to our channel, True North. It's all about overcoming adversity, pursuing your passion. Today's episode was a great episode. I hope it helps. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about jealous women and why they're jealous. Next week, we're going to talk about the 48 laws of power. I'll pick a few and we'll go through it. Personal, professional. Later, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.